Dagath, the nearly headless, faceless horse-lass whose horse casts cause mass death. She's got some strong power in her arsenal, but is also dangerously squishy if not played right. This video will cover where to get her, what she can do, and how to make the most of that. I'm the Kengineer, let's solve a practical problem. Dagath was introduced with a unique mission where all 6 of the main syndicates come together to seek your support. You can also join other Tenno in supporting me over on Patreon for behind the scenes including builds, math and more. The new mission type requires only the host of the mission to obtain abyssal beacons from any of the 6 core syndicates. However, unlike most missions, which you can queue into publicly, the Abyssal Zone has no matchmaking. Either you form a squad yourself or you run solo. The mission is simple enough: kill the required number of enemies, find and bring to extraction some unique pickups called Auric and Defixios, and survive the challenges placed upon you when you grab them. You only need 1 Defixios per player, with 0 benefit for bringing extras. Completing a mission will grant you Vein Thorns, a unique resource required to build Dagath, with normal missions rewarding 6 to 8 randomly, while Steel Path missions reward 8, 11 or 12 randomly. As 102 total are needed, this means farming the unique material for Dagath will take 13 to 17 runs on normal mode, or 9 to 13 runs on Steel Path, with the average being 15 and 10 runs respectively. With 5-minute runs, that's less than 1.5 hours even on the maximum number of runs. The only other thing you need then is to have your clan construct the unique dojo room Dagath's Hollow to allow you to obtain the component blueprints. The blueprints have no research time required, so unless you're in a solo or dead clan, you'll probably have access to these already. Build Dagath like any Warframe and we can move on to what she actually does. Like with most Warframes, Dagath has a passive and 4 activated abilities. Her passive, Abundant Abyss, grants a 35% chance on picking up a health or energy orb, but the orb will grant 4 times the usual restoration. This is calculated after other modifiers such as Equilibrium and Amber Archon shards, meaning you don't get additional health from an energy orb, but the shards do multiply the orb's basic effect even higher. As for her active abilities, her first is Word Scythes, creating a spinning array of small scythes, damaging enemies and applying viral to them if they're nearby. After a moment, the scythes launch in the direction you are looking, further applying damage and viral effects. Any enemy struck by Word Scythes is also slowed for a short time. Her second ability is Doom. Enemies in a narrow cone become marked with Doom for a while. Any damage received by doomed enemies from Dagath will be stored and reapplied with a modifier 3 seconds later. The reapplied damage is a type of true damage, bypassing armor regardless of what armor affected the original hit. If the total stored damage combined with viral effects on the target will be enough to kill them, the scythe will swing just 0.4 seconds after this threshold is reached. Doom and Word Scythes have a combo effect, where doomed enemies struck by a Word Scythe will spread the Doom effect to nearby enemies, and the duration on Doom is reset to max again. Dagath's third ability is Grave Spirit. Once activated, it remains on indefinitely until triggered or dispelled, granting Dagath a critical damage bonus that's additive to mods and doubled in effect on doomed enemies. If Dagath should take lethal damage, Grave Spirit triggers and prevents this. Instead, Dagath gets damage immunity for a short window and loses the critical damage buff. During this invulnerability time, all of Dagath's kills will drop health orbs to help rapidly recover her, after which the ability goes on cooldown for a fixed 25 seconds, starting once the invulnerability ends. Finally, there's Dagath's fourth, Rakali's Cavalry, sending out a group of 5 Phantom Caves to trample Dagath's enemies with very high viral damage. The caves will run in a straight line, ignoring terrain if you cast it on the ground, or will charge through the air in the direction you're looking if you cast it in mid-air, with the caves changing direction once they hit the ground. Use this to your advantage to control the area of effect. This ability also has a combo with Doom, applying a defense reduction effect against doomed enemies. Rakali's Cavalry will frequently hit enemies twice in a single charge, meaning that only 50% defense reduction is needed to get total strip on most targets. In combination then, this means Dagath is able to get more value from orbs, make enemies vastly more vulnerable to damage, apply heavy amounts of damage, and slow groups of enemies to prevent them acting. On the whole, this is a highly offense-focused kit, with no reliable means of damage reduction. Considering Dagath only has 125 base armor and 250 base shields, she lacks most ordinary means of survival. She's not quite as flimsy as Banshee, but is very close. At first glance, Grave Spirit may appear to be a defensive option, able to ignore death and become invulnerable instead. Unfortunately, the 25-second cooldown afterwards demands that Dagath has some other more reliable means of survival. Grave Spirit is the backup option, more like Wukong's passive with a critical damage reward for not relying upon it. Where Dagath's most reliable survival tool comes from then is actually how quickly she can cast her abilities. Despite the apparent animations, Word Scythes is a very short to cast ability, though on first use of her it doesn't look that way. See here how I can resume firing this automatic weapon before she's even finished twirling around, and this is with no cast speed improvements at all. Given that Word Scythes also refreshes and spreads the effect of Doom, you can get 2 abilities for the price and cast time of 1. This short casting time couples very nicely with another innate trait to Dagath, Xeneric Polarity on the Aura slot, which matches the Aura Brief Respite. Brief Respite will generate shields on your Warframe on spending energy to cast an ability. Combined with Dagath's low shields, the Catalyzing Shields mod, and sufficient energy, Dagath can constantly regenerate shields on demand, while sundering enemies and slowing them. This core aspect of Dagath is easily her most fundamental form of defense, that I'll cover a different way later on. Restoring shields allows for constant use of shield gating, preventing all non-toxin damage from hitting Dagath's health, and providing effectively immortality so long as you have energy and keep casting abilities. Casting alone, however, doesn't win missions. You need value from those casts. The first way you can go about this is with this build here. This utilizes Dagath's entire kit to dispatch of groups of enemies with a full caster approach. The setup is simple. First, cast your Word Scythes when staring down a line of enemies. Second, if the ones in front of you are not doomed, cast Doom before your Word Scythes launch away. Third, send the cavalry to trample the enemies to death. If you have a survivor, this could be used to spread Doom without recasting it. Lastly, cast Grave Spirit as your backup plan if it's off cooldown. Now wait, before you screenshot this and run off, the mods aren't everything. This is an extremely delicate build with a huge energy demand that needs to be additionally supported. I'd recommend using Deathcube Prime with the energy generator and Synth Deconstruct mods to allow you to increase the rate of orb generation from kills substantially. By increasing the orb drops, you trigger Dagath's passive more often and therefore have a lot more energy for casting, as well as more health to recover chip damage that sneaks through the gaps in your shield gate. You can also use Arcane Energize, if you have it, to further increase the value from energy orbs, especially if you're not using Deathcube, while Arcane Nullifier can provide protection against energy leech Xmas that catch you by surprise as they drain a large chunk of energy. I would, however, caution against using Arcane Steadfast or Xeneric Focus School. The last thing a Shieldgate build needs is a 100% discount on an ability cast. If you don't spend energy, you don't gain shields, and you don't recharge your Shieldgate. At the wrong moment, that can mean death. Prime Flow is absolutely necessary to smooth out the highs and lows in energy generation, as running out will almost mean death. The almost is in using Dagath's 3. Grave Spirit is your get out of jail free card by preventing death and allowing you a small window of guaranteed health orb drops. With Equilibrium in the build, this means a lot of guaranteed energy income to bring you back up should your near-death experience have been due to running out of energy. I've also equipped Rolling Guard, as damaging status procs will constantly trigger your shield gate, making you more vulnerable to a stray shot than you would be normally. Rolling those away is a big boost to survival. If you feel confident with sparing an arcane slot, you can power up with Molt Augmented. It won't reach any breakpoint on its own, but this will increase the slow effect and damage output even further. For a couple additional forma, you can have Preparation for more initial energy on spawn, or use Archon Shards or Energy Pizzas to give you an easier time on starting out casting all abilities. Speaking of forma, while Umbral Intensify is stronger, Normal Intensify will work just fine if you're not in the mood to drop the Umbral forma. Be warned that this setup demands a high enemy density. With a low number of enemies, you simply will not get enough energy income to afford to keep casting your abilities. When that happens, you lose the ability to afford to Shieldgate and, well, die. Now, if you get tired of only using the cavalry to kill, you can switch to a different high enemy density setup like this. The focus here is to again set up enemies to be doomed and slowed, only now the idea is to kill them with weaponry. An absolute standout weapon class for this are the wide body, heavy hitters like the Foreman or Archiplasmor. This is for a few reasons. Firstly, your abilities are being utilised mostly in a line in front of you. A weapon which also affects a whole line in front of you is a perfect match for maximum value. Secondly, a heavy hitting weapon combined with Doom makes Dagath absolutely love Xmas units. Remember, Doom bypasses armor, Overguard has no armor and is just a sack of hit points overlaid on top of the enemy's health and shields. If you doom an Xmas unit and then smash the Overguard with a big enough hit, especially if the Xmas is also dripping in viral procs from Word Scythes, the doom effect will near instantly kill them. On top of this, the guaranteed orb drops from Xmas are a perfect reward to go with Dagaf's passive. A single shot heavy hitter like the Foreman carving through a group of enemies can make full use of these effects. Thirdly, for the Foreman especially, it recharges its ammo while you are busy casting abilities. This means no wasted time reloading and letting your shield gate drop. You can combine firing and casting without any delays, all while getting the Grave Spirit critical damage buff. By focusing on a weapon rather than cavalry, we have a much lower energy demand, allowing us to drop efficiency heavily. In exchange, our duration can go up, keeping enemies slowed and doomed longer to get more optimal cast placements in. As an added bonus, if you would trigger Grave Spirit's immortality, the extra duration makes it last 15 seconds, plenty of time to recover and take a better position in the mission. The final benefit of taking a gunplay approach over cavalry here is you can now subsume out that fourth ability for one of your choice. Nourish is an obvious go-to, really ensuring your energy demands are met while also granting you a large viral damage bonus. Alternatively, consider Titania's Spellbind to grant yourself status immunity for protection from damaging effects, knockdowns, and energy leech auras. You can use Raffle Advance to stack critical chance with Grave Spirit's critical damage if using a melee setup such as a Stropher, or use Silence to reduce the number of threats you'll have to deal with, including the Violence Acolyte. This Dagaf build is open to a dizzying array of subsumed abilities to tailor her play to your preference really. The downside is, once again, this is a high enemy density build. For all the ability synergy you can muster, running out of energy can still be a death sentence in higher level missions when relying on shield gating. With fewer enemies, there's only so much energy you can obtain. So for something which works with reduced enemy density, or is less vulnerable to moments of energy running out, we can swing Dagath around into a health tank focus. Again, if you don't want to go Umbral mods, normal versions are fine. Defensively, this requires a combination of adaptation and health conversion, replacing rolling guard and catalyzing shields. Health conversion will provide a substantial armor boost, while adaptation is the generally effective damage resistance mod. Together, these will provide roughly 95% damage resistance in normal missions, as much as 98% against single damage type enemies. However, in order for health conversion to work, it requires reliable health orb drops. Grave Spirit provides health orbs, but only during the invulnerability period when it prevents you dying, so that's not reliable enough. Instead, subsume over to Gaf's 4 with either Fractured Blast, or if you're going melee, you can use Lycav's Hunt. You could rely on the health orb drops from a companion using Synth Deconstruct, but the subsumed ability is fully reliable and is usable in the circuit too, where companions don't exist. With consistent health orbs acquired, health conversion will fully sack its damage resistance. You can then also choose to use Arcane Blessing for a higher maximum health from collecting health orbs. If you're not confident that you can build up Blessing stack safely with no health modding, drop Stretch for Vitality or Umbral Vitality. You'll need to either formula over or downgrade Prime Flow to make that fit if you go that route. The way this build plays is very similar to the second build, dooming and obliterating enemies as before, only you also want to prime them with Fractured Blast in order to get the additional orb drops. With a 60% chance of getting a health orb and a 24% chance of an energy orb, at a cast cost of 38.75 energy, you'd have a roughly 2 in 3 chance of going energy positive with each cast on just a single enemy. Taking averages into account, each enemy killed while under the effects of Fractured Blast means 45 energy for you, on top of the healing, armor boost, and orb drops from normal means. All told, this gives you a method of surviving that doesn't reduce the effectiveness of your 3 core abilities. You get much more room for error and risk taking, plus you're less vulnerable in low enemy density moments. The downside is being locked into using an orb generating ability and keeping its effects active, which will reduce your kill speed compared to the second build. Alongside Arcane Blessing, consider using Molt Augmented for more damage and orb drops, Molt Reconstruct for additional healing for heavy damage situations, Arcane Nullifier to prevent magnetic procs, or Arcane Steadfast, as common free ability casts are no longer completely detrimental to your survival. You can still use Brief Respite for shield gating purposes and matching the Aura Slot polarity, but it's no longer the only thing keeping you in one piece. Just remember that by round 6 in Steel Path Circuit, your health tank will likely begin to fail without Decrees buffing it. Between these setups, you've got a Full Caster, a Gun Master, and a health tank alternative to give you various ways to approach Dagath and use her kit, suitable for most mission types. She's powerful, but she's also squishy, so you cannot let up. Thanks to all my wonderful supporters who continue to allow me to bring these guides to you. If you've enjoyed the video, become a supporter today with the link in the video description. And as always, launch words, charge herds, and fight well, Tenno.